All right, peace. You already know where you at and who you rocking with, right? Right. So let's get to that then. Yo. Hey, Cuffy, how you get less time than Big Meech, dog? Big Meech didn't have no violence connected to his case. It was all drugs. You got 2 murders. You got firearms in the furtherance of a crime resulting in death. How you wind up getting less time in the 30 years that they gave Big Meech, man? That's questionable. You feel me? Other than the fact that people say he's been cooperating since 2005. Nah, that's speculation. But I found something leading to 2005 or whatnot where wiretap communication before Tammy, mind you, before Tammy Collins and whatever situation he trying to make a situation. Wiretap, the use of confidential sources, confidential informants, and undercover agents, and everything else got Cuffy dead to right in 2005 for selling upwards in the amount of 12,000 kilos to amass about $24 million. How he didn't get locked up on that? Let's take a look at Gregory Griggs' paperwork, man. Gregory Griggs and Brian Collins, they filed to quash the electronic communications or whatnot. Now, everybody pulled out of that except for Gregory Griggs, who, by the way, was unidentified throughout much of this process. Nobody knew who he was. They only knew him as Death Row. You feel me? So let's get to some of the notes right here, man. Let me get to this first. Everybody keeps saying, why is Meech named as his unidentified co-conspirator? He's not. I haven't seen anything that says that. Who's telling y'all that? His unidentified co-conspirator is a guy by the name of Luis L. Cias Jr., operating out of Mexico City, who was responsible for multiple large shipments of kilograms and marijuana to Gatling. Now, this paperwork all but says that. You know, because Gatling was the plug. Like I said, 12,000 kilos for 24 million or whatnot. This is the unidentified co-conspirator. All of these other people in this indictment and in this paperwork of Gregory Griggs are caught up in Gatling's web. They were investigating Gatling. His recklessness, his stupidity got a lot of people time in prison. You dig what I'm talking about? Cuffy first appears in Griggs' paperwork and Brian Collins' paperwork on page 5 when the DEA task force agent John Wallace filed for an affidavit in support of an application for interception of wire communications occurring over cell phones. Now, he wanted to tap the communication between Gatling and a guy named Eric Ernest, or whatnot. That application included Gatling and many more. At the time of the application, the agents were investigating a drug trafficking organization believed to be headed locally by Gatling. See, there you go right there. They were investigating him and stumbled upon, either inadvertently or on purpose, a bunch of other dealers. Because like I say, man, how he don't get no time? How everybody else get locked up and they got him dead to right serving, working on got cell phones and everything else, and he don't go to jail for that? He don't get locked up for that? Let me see. The application requested the interception of wiretap communications of Eric Ernest, Dion Gatling, Sammy Jefferson, Vincent Pam, Lorenzo Gibbs, Perry Starks, Royce Davenport, Kerry Lockey, Antoine Elliott, Charles Howard, Sherelle Hamilton, and an individual known only as Death Row at the time of the hearing. Now, that would be Griggs. That's Gregory Griggs. Like I said, they didn't know him by anything but Death Row. How did they get his real name, Cuff? I mean, you know, only a few people probably would have been capable of telling them his real name. You know, none of the confidential informants knew either. So how did they get his real name, Cuff? That's a question we should ask him. Somebody should ask him these questions. I know these niggas watching my interview, watching my goddamn shows that do the interviews on. One of you niggas should ask him, because y'all got a line on him. You know what I'm saying? One of you niggas should ask him about Louis L. Silas Jr. working out of Mexico City. That was his real unidentified co-conspirator. You feel me? According to the paperwork, this paperwork I got from the feds, Meech wasn't even his plug. It was this guy. You dig? They do mention BMF, and they do mention the fact that he was loosely an associate, if not a member of theirs. But otherwise, Meech don't appear, BMF don't appear. They are targeting Gatling and his drug trafficking organization. Let me see. Let me get back to my notes because I got the paperwork right there. Like I just said, Gatling was an alleged associate, if not a member of the Black Mafia family drug trafficking organization. One cooperating source advised that between 2003 and February of 2005, that source alone purchased approximately 12,000 kilos, 1,200, not 12,000, approximately 1,200 kilos of cocaine from Dion Gatling at an estimated cost of $24 million. So, them St. Louis niggas was telling. You feel me? They got a multiple cooperating sources. They got multiple confidential sources in this or whatnot. And it said a lot of whom were ex-drug traffickers. You feel me? So a lot of his people in his organization told. It wouldn't surprise me if he told on some of them for telling on him. Just tit for tat shit. You know what I'm saying? The investigation showed Eric Ernest to be the closest associate of Sam Jefferson and Dion Gatling. Jefferson was supplied cocaine by Gatling, and Ernest was supplied cocaine by Jefferson, and perhaps Gatling. Like I said, Gatling was the man. They targeted Gatling. So the unidentified co-conspirator has got to be this Louis L. Silas Jr. dude. You know what I'm saying? That's the dude Gatling was getting the work from. It came down the pipe from him, and he served everybody else, which is according to the paperwork. The affidavit summarized information from 3 confidential sources, some of whom were admitted narcotics traffickers. The information from the source was also confirmed through the use of consensually recorded telephone calls concerning a proposed drugs transaction between the source and Dion Gatling in connection with the independent investigation. Now, when I read the last part, in connection with the independent investigation, I thought about Tammy. But I don't think she was recording anything. I think the detective Cromer was in the car with her one time, and he overheard this and told her, yeah, get him a plug, and this we got a plug for him, blase splee whoop de whoop. But as far as recordings, this shit says the information from one source was also confirmed through the use of consensually recorded telephone calls concerning a proposed drug transaction between the source and Gatling. Why would he be letting people record him talk about drugs and stash houses and illegal, illicit activities, period? As I said from the jump, his stupidity, his unintelligence, his recklessness out here in the world caused him and a lot of other people to be doing time. By accident or on purpose. One or the other, you pick and choose. I'll put the paperwork at the end of this video or whatnot. Let me see what else I got. But this is pertaining to squashing the wiretaps or whatnot. A consolidated evidentiary hearing with regards to various defendants' motions to suppress electronics surveillance evidence was held August 21st, 2007. At the hearing, other defendants at the hearing, all defendants who originally filed motions to suppress electronics evidence also either waived or withdrew their motion to suppress prior to the hearing. The motion of defendant Griggs, therefore, is the sole motion to suppress electronic surveillance still asserted in the case. So he stood tall on his. He wanted it out of there because without the electronic surveillance they got from surveilling Gatling and all of his dumbass activities, they wouldn't even have dude. Furthermore, they didn't know his name or where the residence, the stash house was. That's what I need. I need to know how they figured out where the stash house was and how they figured out what Death Row's real name was. In connection with their investigation, DEA agent John Wallace filed for an affidavit in support of an application for the interception of wire communications occurring over a cellular telephone subscribed to by Erlene Ernest and believed to be utilized by Eric Ernest. Now I'm going to go to page 5. So he must have had his phone and his girl name, or him and his girl got T-Mobiles or whatever the fuck ever. The one thing that they did say about the Gatling cat was that he was very, him and his brother, I guess Duran, were very, very tech smart. Let me see. The investigation also revealed that Gatling and his brother, Deron Gatling, possess a high level of sophistication with respect to the law enforcement's techniques involving electronic surveillance. Consistent with their efforts to avoid detection, Gatling, Ernest Jefferson, and other subjects took care to limit access to cell phones, numbers, and their communication devices to other members of their organization, as evidenced by the fact that confidential source had limited knowledge of the cell phone numbers being utilized by the subjects. So they said he switched phones every month, and he only used the chirp setting. He would use Nextel Boost, and he only used the chirp setting on the phone and whatnot. But even with that, evidently that's not good enough if they were able to intercept contact between Gatling and Eric Ernest. So I don't know. Gatling's name appears in Ernest's paperwork 12 times though. Over, I think it's 30 pages. He appears 12 times in the paperwork. Now, Gatling was talking about how Big Meech in my paperwork. He a rat. Big Meech in my paperwork. Well, you all over this cat's paperwork, homeboy. And for all intents and purposes, you the reason he in prison, man. You the reason they got hip to him. You the reason they got hold of him. You probably the reason they know his name ain't Death Row and it's Gregory Griggs. But that's up for debate. And that's what we doing right here. So all I got to say is this. Peace to the 5% nation of gods and earths. Until we meet again. I'll be back.
Juanito.